Hello，你好，欢迎回来，Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger. The date is August 12th, 2020. A while ago, I saw an article on the internet that said something like, allow me to paraphrase. It said that most of us are washing ourselves way too much today. And it continued to say that most people really only need to wash themselves maybe once or twice a week, uh, and that will be more than enough. Coming from a culture that loves baths and showers, but mostly baths, that article almost sounded like sacrilege to me. It was almost offensive to my cultural belief. How can taking a bath or taking a shower be bad for you? While I understand on a biological and scientific level, there's a lot of reasons why we really shouldn't be using that much soap, that much shampoo. But it is possible to take a bath, take a shower every day without using all those chemically enhanced beauty products, body products on yourself. But at the very least, you can wash away the grime and sweat you accumulated during the day just with water and a nice soft washcloth. Or if you like the more harsh and coarse ones, hey, be my guest. Taking a bath, taking a shower, washing yourself in Mandarin is called 洗澡. That's X-E-E, 洗 means wash. 澡, J-A-O, means uh, early, swiftly, quickly, uh, uh, promptly. 洗澡. 洗澡 is one of the things that Chinese people had always really enjoyed and placed a lot of import on. In fact, in many circumstances, it's almost ceremonial. When a lot of Chinese people, especially in the old days, talk about taking a bath, they didn't mean a half an hour thing. Quite often, it will turn into a project that might span an entire day. It was something that very enjoyable and something that you could actually use as a day out. Friends come to your house and say, "Hey, what are we going to do today? It's our vacation and nothing to do." And you say it was perfectly okay for you to say, "Hey, let's go 洗澡." And then you will go find a public bathhouse and have a day of fun there. But I kind of skipped forward a little bit there. Let me go back to that in a little bit. One thing about 洗澡, about taking the bath, as well in my culture, is that most of really big business meetings were not conducted in meeting rooms. Actually, Chinese people, especially Taiwanese people and Cantonese people, love conducting business deals, signing business deals, signing agreements, uh, uh, doing executive meetings in a bathtub, in a bathhouse. When I was little, I never understood that why my dad, every time he was having a meeting with important client, he would take them to the bathhouse. And it's not until I was a teenager that my dad told me, and it made a lot of sense. My dad said when you're sitting in an office behind your impressive desk with your beautiful medieval painting or fantasy or high-end art painting on the wall, in your gigantic leather chair, uh, the meeting is not very fair because it's become a case of who can outdo whom on a material level. So the person who wears a more expensive suit, the person who wears the more expensive watch, the person who wears the most expensive shoes, the person who has the most expensive car, that person generally gets the upper hand in a business meeting before you even sign a deal. But when you sit down in a bathtub, in a bathhouse, you suddenly become equal. Uh, that guy across from you is just as middle aged, just as balding, just as pudgy, and looks just as weird when he's naked as you are. So there's no unfair advantage to be gained by visible materialistic wealth. The negotiation would then all come down to the force of personality and who is more pragmatic and who is more clever. So it comes down to uh, my brain versus his brain versus the other person's brain, rather than uh, everyone trying to outdo each other to see who got the more expensive stuff. So putting it that way, it actually makes sense. And also, my father said too, is it's extremely hard to be obnoxious and aggressive when you are butt naked in front of your business partner. Everyone is sitting around you with belly fat and love handles and muffin tops and not very in shape. So it's really hard to get belligerent and aggressive in that kind of setting. It kind of help keep the business meeting nice and civilized. Of course, nowadays, most, if not all, Chinese households have their own bathroom, their own bathing facility, and people no longer really have the luxury or the time to invest uh, a whole day into the ceremony of taking a bath. But it was not that long ago when the only realistic way of taking a good solid bath was to pay money to go to your local bathhouse. About this practice had only came to an end gradually about 40 years ago. So my generation just barely missed it. The previous generation, the generation before me, my father, my uncles, my aunties, everybody from the previous generation and uh, up through uh, the long river of time in Chinese history as far back as about 1200 years ago have upheld this tradition of going to the bathhouse. So, what happened in the bathhouse, you may ask? Well, there's a lot going on in there. Actually, it's not as simple as you just going to in there to take a bath. And no, before you guys think of some nefarious illegal stuff, no, there was no opium and there's no sexual exchanges in these bathhouses. That those things actually was a corruption brought on by modern society. Uh, but in the old days, you go to a bathhouse, you go there for some proper and perfectly legal and perfectly uh, uh, normal kind of fun with your friend. Let's say me and my friend Harvey and my friend Kevin were to get together on a Sunday and we have nothing planned, I can say, hey, let's go 洗澡. Let's go find a bathhouse and let's go 洗澡. The first thing we would do, and we'll get in there, is put our clothes and belongings in individual lockers. Yes, even 1,000 years ago, Chinese bathhouses already had individual lockers. I mean, they had to keep people's property safe while people were spending time there. So you put your things in your individual lockers, and you get your bathrobe and your slippers from your individual lockers. Every locker comes with its own set of slippers and bathrobes, and hopefully it gets washed every time someone used it. You get your bathrobe, you get your slippers. The key to your locker is on a lanyard around your wrist, and you go into the first room. In the first room, there are several large swimming pool-sized bathtubs filled with waters of different temperature, ranging from room temperature to extremely hot. Really interesting here is usually it's the old people, really old people that could go in there and jump right into those super extremely hot uh, bathtub. Those water were like hot enough. They were just almost. They felt like they were just below boiling temperature. But these elderly people go in there and they loved it. Young people like myself wouldn't be able to stand that. We probably go from the lukewarm to a little bit warmer. So people would sit in these bathtubs or little pools. Usually there would be 20 people in the room. And no, it's not co-ed, so men have men's bathhouses, women have women's bathhouses. So you would go in there, you would sit in there and have a nice leisurely soak. Not just like 5 minutes or anything. Once you pay the money to go into a bathhouse, you can stay as long as you want until the closing time. So if you want to stay there for the whole day, that's fine. So people can sit in these bathtubs or pools and socialize and talk and chat, catch up with what each other's doing, how each other's families have been. And one thing that you would notice in the first room, in the room of the soaking, let's call it the room of the soaking, is a lot of people start to relax and they start to perform. You have comedians, you have singers, you have people who bring their instruments and they'll just sit there butt naked in front of everybody and they're just having a good old time singing a song, playing their harp or flute or guitar, or just sitting there and tell stories and tell jokes. It's often turning to any single kind of party just in that first room. And then once you are nice and comfortable, you had enough of sitting in the water, you go into the second room, which is actually called the room of washing. So you had a nice long soak. It's time to actually get washed. Yes, you heard me right. You don't wash yourself. You go into the next room, and there are a few professional uh, bath giver, a few professional washing people in there. And as soon as you go in, they will one of them would approach you and take you over to a stool, and they will come with a bucket of soapy water and rags and scrapers or whatever they need to use on you, and they will proceed to wash you from head to toe. There's no embarrassment, no sexual tendency, no sexual insinuation. It's their job to wash you. It's your expectation to get washed. And these people were highly trained. They were not just anybody off the street that want to go and wash people. Professional bath giver, professional washing people had to be trained. They had to go to school to learn a bit of massage. They had to learn which body part have to use how much pressure to wash, and which body part you want to be gentle, and how to make sure that you don't let anything slip your attention. You don't miss any spot on the person. It was said that a professional bath person, a professional bath giver, would uh, they would scrub you or touch you with the washcloth exactly 108 times, washing you from head to toe. They touch you exactly 108 times, no less, no more. 108 times, you're done, they are done, you are free to proceed to room number 3. Or, if you want, you can go back to room number 1 and soak some more in the tubs. Room number 3 is the resting room. Uh, it's not like restroom, not like toilet or anything. Room number 3, there are a few lawn chairs and few beds and reclined chairs, and people sit in there with their bathrobes or kimono on them, so preserve a little bit of modesty. And people go to that third room for their nails to be cut, for their hair to be, they can get, you can get a haircut. And keep in mind, all these, the washing, the soaking, the haircut, the nail trimming, the facial, the shaving, the waxing, all that was covered in your initial uh, entry fee. Whatever you pay to go into the bathhouse, back then it was about 20 cents, which would roughly amount to $70 today. You go into this bathhouse, and it's like a full service spa where you get your massage, you get your uh, uh, shower, you get your hot tub, you get your nail, manicure, pedicure, everything. So in this third room is where you have other professionals come and give you a haircut, give you a facial, shave your beard, and give you a nice foot massage or shoulder massage. And if you can rest in here, uh, and talk to your friend, or if you want, you can take a nap, or you can play chess or checker with your friend. And you can also, it is here in this room that you can order food or drink. You can get anything from tea to fried rice or noodles or uh, Chinese meat buns or uh, even alcohol in many cases. And of course, this is where you would sit and smoke your cigarette as well. And once you have rested, you got your haircut, you take a nap, you're nice and refreshed, you can then repeat the whole pattern. You can go back to room 1 and soak some more and interact with people there and get washed again in room number 2. So as you can tell, it was basically a spa. When people say, "Let's go 洗澡," let's go take a bath. It's not like it's not like me inviting my friend Kevin and Harvey to, "Hey, let's go take a shower together." No, nothing like that. It's basically me saying, "Hey, let's go get a massage and a hot tub and haircut and just enjoy ourselves for the rest of the day in this bathhouse." So where did the culture of bathhouse came from? Well, as far as anyone can determine, this came back to the Ming Dynasty, the first emperor of the Ming Dynasty, about 1,000 years ago, give or take, he brought in a lot of laborers from the south to build his palace. It was the middle of the summer, and the progress was extremely slow, so the emperor was angry. So he summoned his minister, the person in charge of the construction, and he said, why is this taking so long to build a simple palace? You wanted money, I gave you money. You wanted laborers, I hired laborers. Why is it taking so long? And the minister said to the emperor, well, see, the problem is the, the weather is so hot, and people keep getting sick because they don't have very good hygiene. And those that do go to the river to take a bath, sometimes they will drown, sometimes they get eaten by alligators. Yes, there were alligators in China. And sometimes they would catch some other infection from algae and bacteria in the river. So that's why we keep losing people. We keep having laborers that get sick. That's why it's taking so long. The emperor said, well, we need to do something because this is ridiculous. Going by the pace that you guys are going, this will never get done, and the winter is going to get here, and we won't be able to work during the winter time. So what are we going to do? The minister said, well, I have a suggestion. Before we build your palace, how about we build a few official places for these laborers to go and get treated, get their nails looked at, get their hairs cut, get their hygiene taken care of. This way they'll be clean and healthy and they'll be able to work a lot faster. The emperor thought that was a great idea, so that's what he did. He built the first four bathhouses in the city of Beijing. And once the palace was completed and the laborers sent back to their hometown, these bathhouses were then given out to noblemen and noblewomen so they could enjoy this kind of VIP treatment. And gradually, the civilians thought it was a great idea to have a bathhouse where everyone can go socialize and get their personal needs taken care of. So more and more bathhouses were built for the commoners to enjoy. Speaking of Chinese people and our intrinsic love for taking baths, this was not always a good thing either, because uh, way back when the Mongolian people were constantly harassing and invading Chinese border, we're talking about thousands of years ago, the Mongolian people would come across the border and pillage and burn down farmhouses and rape women. Back then, the Mongolian warriors, they themselves said the reason they loved to rape and pillage in China so much was because Chinese women actually smelled good. Thank you for checking out this week's Wisdom Wednesday. We'll be back again tomorrow for Toy Thursday. Gosh, I can't talk. For now, have a good night and 再见.